Hello, everyone. I'm certified natural healthcare practitioner Erin Thole, and I'm excited because I have Colton Thayer from Way Labs with me here today. And we are going to be talking about blood sugar, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, everything in that realm. How you doing, Colton? You excited?
Doing good, doing great. I am excited. We got a big one here. A lot of blood sugar, a lot of BS. Um, Coming into the holidays,
No pun
very
intended.
important to just keep track of what your metabolism's doing.
Exactly. So we're actually this is going to be a five-part series. So we've done a video on insulin resistance about a year ago, I want to say.
Mhm.
So definitely check that one out. We're going to kind of go over some of that stuff again in this video, and then we're going to do some follow-up videos. So you'll want to check those out as they drop as well. We're going to do one on how blood pressure is connected to insulin resistance, do another one on PCOS, polycystic ovary syndrome, and how that's very connected to insulin resistance. And then do one on sleep, insomnia issues, and the connection there. And then dementia, which is another really big one. People are starting to hear more about that, like how insulin resistance and just blood sugar imbalances are so related to dementia, so much so that it is referred to in pretty much everywhere else outside of the US as type 3 diabetes. So we're going to touch on all of those in follow-up videos. So definitely stick around for that. So I guess what we should kind of start with is talking about the HbA1c numbers and what those actually mean, because a lot
Mhm.
of people are getting their HbA1c numbers tested, especially now that a lot more people are using, these weight loss drugs and things like that. Like that's kind of like a hot topic of, like where's your HbA1c number? So I kind of want to point out, I have a little chart that I'm going to show you all here in a second, but I kind of want to point out that years ago, not that long ago, diabetes and like getting into that pre-diabetes and definitely into like that diabetes diagnosis was having an HbA1c number of 6% or higher, obviously. And now they're starting to kind of like push that up where they're not giving people that diabetes diagnosis until they're maybe at 7% or 7.5% or 8 or something like that, which is kind of obnoxious. So it's really important to realize that the reference ranges oftentimes are not based on like scientific evidence of what is and is not in balance. It's based on averages. So as the average American gets more and more out of balance and more inflammatory and more, insulin resistance in this case and things like that, those reference ranges change because the average person has changed. Does that make sense, Colton? How I'm describing it?
Yeah, I mean, they're just shifting the goalpost. As
Exactly.
people get more and more unhealthy, it just, oh, well, I guess, we're gonna,
Let's just move this
scratch the
number
average.
to follow the trend, which doesn't
Yeah.
help anybody. They do that with thyroid numbers. They do that with women who are peri and postmenopausal. That reference range is based on the average. And I don't know
Hmm.
about you, but if I'm going and having like all of this lab work done, I
Hmm.
want to know like what's healthy and what's not healthy. I don't want to be compared to other people who are having the same issues that I'm having, and then we're all called normal or well,
Hmm.
or
Yeah.
average. Like that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't help anybody. And this is where a lot of the frustration for a lot of people comes in. They do all this lab work and they're like, oh, I feel like trash. And they get it all back, and their doctor's like, oh, looks like you're normal, And it's like, well, if I
Yeah.
was normal, I wouldn't feel like a dumpster fire. So, I mean, it's true. Like, so
Yeah.
many
No, it
people are
is.
like, I have this laundry list of conditions and symptoms, and, nobody can get to the bottom of it. And it's because we're comparing, apples to oranges constantly. So I want to show this functional medicine ranges, which are the ranges that are scientifically proven to be where people function optimally for their
Mhm.
HbA1c. I guess we should tell people also what HbA1c actually is.
Yeah.
So that is the number of sticky sugars that is in your blood, and it's
Mhm.
an average number, an average over about a 3 month time period. So you never want to get your HbA1c tested and then test it again the next month. You don't want to test them so close together because it's not really going to change in like a month's time. You want to space them out at least 3 months when you're
Mhm.
testing so that you can
Yeah.
actually get a
Yeah.
good
It's like
quality reading.
90 days to what, rebuild a red blood cell or
Yeah.
something like
Mhm.
that. So that's kind of why you want that timetable.
Exactly. Exactly. So we don't want a bunch of sticky sugar floating around in our blood.
Nope.
So let me share this with you here. We are doing this one. Okie dokie. Can you see that, Colton?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ah,
Perfect. So this is going to give you kind of grades, A, B, C, D, E, F, or no E, I guess, just D, F. Um, and then we have our percentages, and then I also have conditions, symptoms, things like that go along with it. So 8% or higher, obviously some mega issues going on there, not only in terms of diabetes, but the things that we're going to be talking about in these subsequent videos of what high blood sugar is going to be doing for the rest of your body, in terms of your heart health, kidney health, can cause neurological disorders,
mhm.
blindness, there's all these different things. Accelerated aging, like that's something that people don't really think about that much, but having a really high sugar diet, or having a insulin resistant body makes you age like super quickly, and your
Mhm.
inflammation goes through the roof. And so a lot of people are really kind of hanging out around this 6% to 6.5%. I see that a lot where people come to me and they're like, yeah, I'm a little concerned, but I'm at 6%. So it's not that, it's not bad. It's not that bad. I'm like, are you sure about that? Because, erectile dysfunction, having circulatory issues, other hormonal imbalances, like we'll talk about PCOS in another video here and how that's related to insulin resistance. And just like more inflammatory conditions. There's not
Yeah.
one person who's just like, I just have diabetes. That's it. Like there's
No.
always other things that go along with that. So where we want to be is below this 5%. Okay. 5%,
Mhm.
we're getting that B grade. We're having slower aging, better sleep, because as we'll talk about later on, sleep and insulin resistance are most definitely related. And then, getting somewhere between that 4.5 to 5% is where we want to be. Some people get, 4.2% or something like that. That would be phenomenal, but we definitely don't want to get below that because you can have too much of a good thing too. You don't want to have nothing for your HbA1c, because then you can start to get hypoglycemic, and those are typically people that have like eating disorders and things like that where it gets really low. So
Mm.
this is generally where we want to be with our HbA1c.
Yeah.
I'm
Right
gonna have
there, or 2 to 5, basically, in that window.
exactly. Okay. So I wanted to share this chart with people so they could really see, what we're working with here and stuff like that. Um, so let's touch on, do you want to talk about like what you see a lot of in terms of, when people are coming to you looking for herbs for insulin and, insulin levels, glucose regulation and stuff like that? Are there some patterns that you typically see of other issues that they're also struggling with at the same time?
Yeah, yeah. Usually we'll see digestive issues, we'll see kidney impairment, we will see hypertension, goes kind of hand in hand with the diabetes, erectile dysfunction, prostate issues. Um, Another big one that is becoming more and more prevalent, and maybe it's been there the whole time, but a lot of yeasty type issues, candida,
That
yeast
makes sense.
infection,
Hmm.
dysbiosis. When you don't have that sugar regulated and it's just floating around, well, something's eating it,
Yeah.
right? Something's eating it, and it's making a better microbiome or better climate for bacteria or mold to just explode.
Proliferate. Yeah.
So yeah, lots of different issues. Obviously, like weight gain is like
Yeah.
one, pretty big one. Um, but yeah, I guess that's for the most part what I see. Um, you could talk about mental issues or like brain fog
Hmm.
or hyperactivity or just kind of like boom, 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 pinging all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of that.
Well, that
Uh,
high insulin really stimulates the nervous system. So if
hmm
you have a lot of insulin resistance, it's almost keeping you in that fight or flight mode, where
hmm
your body's just constantly like revved up, running from the lion kind of thing. Um, and so, yeah, anxiety gets higher, poor digestion, like you mentioned, just because when you're in fight or flight and your nervous system is overstimulated, you're not sending any of that reserve to or energy into digestion. Your body's like, I don't need
Yeah.
to digest this steak. I need to run from this lion, kind of thing. So it can
Yeah.
really hinder like so many different things because again, you don't just have that one thing. It's not an isolated thing where it's like I just have insulin resistance. That insulin resistance is kind of pushing that domino and then it's through
hmm
the whole thing is going
hmm
over and that nervous system is just
hmm
in hyperdrive basically.
Yeah, and when you slow down digestion, right, things are going to be more fermented. Things aren't going to be digested. It's going to slow down, and
Hmm.
things get into the small intestine. They can work their way up that bile duct, get into the pancreas. So we're seeing about 25% of type 2 diabetes cases, they have a yeast infection or a fungal infection of that pancreatic duct and pancreas. And it's biohacking the body to basically keep more sugar in the system, blocking that insulin release. So those are some of the things we've been working on. We've formulated two products for the fungal aspect. We
Okay.
came up with the Tiger, and that's a killer. Go out, kill it, really target the pancreas, pancreatic duct, and the bile duct. Clear that out. We do see about 2 weeks into that killing, there's die off. Sometimes it's a little bit sooner. And that's where we pair it with the sugar balancer, which helps to bind up basically the mycotoxins.
Okay.
So that's something we've been diving in there. And then I know we met on basically diabetes about a year ago,
Hmm.
and we have some new products, really exciting products that help more on a cellular level, but also help on a metabolic level where we're just getting the body to address and recognize, okay, we got more sugar here. We got to use it. We got to support the pancreas, support the liver, support the digestive system. So we've been using the Glacier formula for that. And then that is also, it's really good for reducing that fasting glucose and improving that.
Okay.
Um, and then it does have some components that help to clear up just like dysbiosis in the gut. It's
Hmm.
not like a huge killer, but balance that out.
Okay.
And the other one, the glucosin, it's a very good one, helps to reduce that post meal spike. So you eat, it
Hmm.
spikes. Well, that's okay. It spikes, but it's supposed to come down. You don't want
Yeah.
it to just stay soaring high. You want to get that down. So that one's been really good for that. And then regulating just the release of glucagon, supporting the liver, things like that. But yeah, those are some of the new guys we've been working on here.
Good. And are you noticing a lot of weight loss along with the usage of those just because it's helping to regulate the insulin, the glucose levels, all of that good stuff? So people are like, how are people feeling on them? Are they feeling less of an urge to eat the sugars and starches
Mhm.
and therefore losing more weight? Like, what have you noticed with that?
Yeah. Typically, we're going to notice more improvements in about 2 weeks, sugar wise. Weight loss, I mean, it's something that it's not going to be an overnight thing. It
Yep.
depends on obviously what you're continuing to eat for food.
Hmm.
You're doing a good job there and you're exercising. We are seeing weight loss, usually around that 4 to 6 week marker. We'll
Okay.
start seeing pounds come down. Um, Now, it really depends on the person's issues. If there are more significant infections that we have to deal with, we're going to be a little bit behind on the weight loss side just because we got to make sure digestion's working well, getting
Mhm.
things cleared out. But if it's something as simple as, hey, we are pre-diabetic or very early into type 2 and we don't have a ton of issues going on, yeah, we can get some of that weight loss down. We can get better focus, memory, sleep, um, recovery, all that.
And if they're addressing their diet, that's like a foundational thing. Like you can't just be
Diet,
pumping all
exercise.
these herbs and thinking like, oh, this is gonna be a miracle cure kind of thing. Like you have to take into consideration those dietary changes that
Yes.
need to be made because what you're currently doing got you into this situation. So we have to
Mm-hmm.
make those adjustments there, which is what
Mm-hmm.
I've worked. So
100%. You
yeah,
have to have that. Diet, exercise, herbs,
mhm,
right? You got to make sure you're getting good nutrients. Water is huge.
exactly.
Reduce that saturation.
And that is one thing that I actually see a lot of is clients in their consultation, their initial consultation with me are like, when we're talking about, blood sugar issues and insulin resistance and where their HbA1c is and stuff like that. A lot of them are like, weirdest thing. I drink water all day long and I always feel dehydrated, you know,
Yeah.
and
Overhydrating.
yeah. And once we get their cells functioning properly and we get
Mm-hmm.
that glucose, into a good range and drop their HbA1c, then they're able to actually like hold on to that hydration. So, getting that cell healthy just makes everything else function in the body so much better. And we need that hydration just for detoxification purposes and, making sure the cells are healthy and lymphatics and digestion and everything else. So it's just,
Everything. You're like 70% water.
yeah, exactly. I mean, your
Doing that.
body is water. Yeah. So it's just kind of an interesting pattern that I've noticed,
Totally.
throughout the years. Is a lot of people just being like, I drink a ton of water. I can't hold on to hydration. I'm always dehydrated. And even like their labs will reflect that if they do just like a basic CBC with differential or something like that. Some of their markers will be off because of dehydration. So,
Yeah. Overly concentrated.
mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly, which then is hard on the kidneys, and then you go down that whole rabbit hole of kidney dysfunction in relation to
And
glucose
heart.
and heart. Yeah, hmm
Mhm.
for
But
sure.
yeah,
Yep,
yeah, I think having good hydration, flushing things out, very important. Electrolytes too.
yep,
But yeah,
yeah.
fixable.
It's all fixable. It's all fixable. So, yes, people, stay tuned for the next few videos that we're going to be talking more in depth about specific conditions in relation to your insulin levels, HbA1c, all that good stuff. We're going to be diving into those conditions. If there's something specific that you want us to do a video on, just, shoot me a message or comment on the video and we'll work to get get your answers or your questions answered and get another video out for you on whatever topics you want to hear about. So if people want to get in contact with you, Colton, to order some herbs or anything like that, what is
Yeah,
your information?
just give me a call. Number here is 612-808-9235. And yep, just leave me a voice message or, call me.
Call me.
Call me.
Awesome. And then people can always shoot me an email at thole.erin@gmail.com to set up a free consultation. And then I'll put my consultation link in the notes below this video too. So if you just want to go to that link and you can just schedule on my calendar, that works too.